Welcome to Wine and Nine, y'all. A weekly wine night discussion. We're your hosts. I'm KG. Got my guy Jared Joseph here, and the lovely Jen. Kicking it off with our wines. Jared Joseph, how we looking, buddy?
All right, so this week is actually pretty interesting. I think we all chose something a little different than what we normally choose.
Yep.
I went with a red blend tonight, and I chose Old Red Vine, lot number 71. Jen is actually coming in with a white Merlot.
Yep.
A white Merlot from Behringer. And then UKG, you're joining us again on the red side. You're going for the Liberty Creek's version of Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yes, sir. Last week sold me, man.
All right, so let's all go ahead and cheers, taste it, and see what we think about these wines.
All right.
What are we cheersing to? KG? I'll leave it up to you. You introduce us this week.
Growth. Individual growth. It's critical.
I like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm down. Growth.
I'm not impressed. I'll be honest though. What does stand out, the flavor. I can taste the good cherry in it, but it's not too. It's not really strong. It's very subtle. Nothing that really stands out about it. The smell, good aroma, a hint of vanilla. I love the color too, so it's a little finished. But I'm definitely not impressed. I probably give it about a 2.5, 3. Even though I will say, I know, right? I don't have the most experience with cabs, but yeah, I don't have too many good things to say. How do you feel about yours?
I like mine. Mine's pretty. It's it's sweet, but it's not too sweet. It's that right amount of sweet where I'm definitely gonna finish this bottle by the end of the show, but it's not anything that anybody who likes dry wine wouldn't be able to handle. But no, it's a really good wine. It's smooth, super easy to drink. I'd say with this one, for me, I love to pair my wine with food. So I think with this, this is giving me maybe like a mushroom chicken risotto type of vibe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sounds delicious.
In the evening time, not too late at night. It's a good before bed wine.
This wine, it has a pretty decent bite to it, like a medium tannins. But as far as the actual flavor, I'm not getting a lot of really anything. It's very basic, very mild, easy to drink. So it's something I could picture myself drinking this early evening on a weekend getaway. You're not looking to get too hammered. You're not looking to. I mean, it's a very chill, romantic start of the evening as the sun is setting. This is what makes me think of when I drink this one. It's decent, but not really
Nothing
high
great,
up there.
yeah.
I will say something really funny though. For those of you who don't know, I'm colorblind, and I didn't know this until yesterday, but I was told that red wine is actually burgundy.
It's actually burgundy?
Yeah, it's a darker red.
I didn't know that until literally yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah. This girl told me that. She's like, yeah, it's burgundy in color. And I was like, core memory. Just literally formed right there. I was like, what is going on? It's burgundy? Why don't they just call it burgundy wine?
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, I digress. So I just thought I'd share that with you guys.
Okay, cool. So this week we're going to talk about porn.
Talk about what?
Porn. Porn. So originally when we decided that we were going to talk about this topic, it kind of seemed like it was going to be something that's light and fun until I did some research on the topic and found out that it wasn't so light and fun and that there are actually some serious things that need to be discussed about porn in the industry and the performers. So this week we're going to talk about how it's damaging to the consumers and the performers alike, the dark secrets of the industry, and how we can overcome what I think is an epidemic. So, with that being said, we're going to kick it off with just the simple fact that porn is a $97 billion global industry.
That's massive.
Yeah. 12 billion of that comes from the United States alone. So, to kick off our first part of tonight's discussion, let's talk a little bit about what it does to consumers. I want to dive in a little bit too about when people start watching porn, because that is imperative to brain function and what it does to the consumer. So, what do you guys think so far?
Well, let's talk. When do you watch porn?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like you got to think about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I didn't realize, like, yeah, you put me on the spot. I didn't. Yes, I do.
Yeah, Jen. Okay.
I mean,
Sparingly.
I did. Well, I mean, I did, but recently, after my research, I don't think that I can delve into it too much anymore. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, I'd definitely watch it. Yeah. Not as much as I used to. Most of that had to do with like schedule. I'm always busy. I don't have time. I have all this other stuff that I'm doing. So I mean, it takes a back burner. It's not as important as it used to be when I was younger. But I watch it.
I'll say this: I watch it, but I'm heavily conflicted about it. I prefer. In the future, I'd like to not watch it as much as what I do. I think I'm.
Well, because ideally, you'd want to be in a relationship, right?
And that implies that in a relationship, you have no reason to watch porn. But see, that's a good question.
So you still watched porn when you were in a relationship?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Does it at the same frequency or no?
If I'm sexually satisfied, I watch a lot less porn. If I'm not sexually satisfied in a relationship, then it's about normal average amount.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I found when I was doing research of porn is that for married couples, when you're married and you watch porn, you heighten your divorce rate by like 200%.
Wait, watch porn individually or watch porn together?
Both. Altogether. If any person who's married in a relationship watches porn, you're increasing your chances of being divorced by 200%.
That's so interesting.
Why is that? Why do you think that is?
Because I think that people have such unrealistic expectations. Mm-hmm. One thing that I found is that children who watch it, they believe that at an early age that porn is realistic sex. So then when they get older and they start dating, the sex isn't up to par. Which regular women can't do those things, right? I mean,
yeah.
So yeah, I think that it's just you expect your partner to try those things and to try to reenact, and it's just wildly unrealistic. So
I can understand that. I can see that being, something that sets higher expectations, mm-hmm. or simply different expectations from what real actual sex is. I mean, I thought there'd be a lot more like super attractive lesbians just banging all the time, but I don't think that's really the case, Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing about porn that actually kind of has always bothered me, even before the research, is that you think that they're picky about their performers. You think that the performers are like hired in. But it's actually not the case.
All right, continue.
So, So how it works is that people make homemade videos. When they get sent into the porn sites, whatever it may be, actually, there's not a lot of regulations as far as like how old or in what condition the performers are in. They could be drugged out. They could be unattractive. They could even be children. They could also be performing incest. And everything is to be considered, and they want to edit and try to publish as much as possible.
I see that. Is that something that's more recent? Because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, growing up, all porn that I saw was all professional porn.
Yeah.
As professional could be. And I feel like only here recently in the past, like maybe 5 to 10 years, have you seen like this huge surge of amateur porn on a level in which you've never seen. But also, like, you know, it's a lot easier.
It's only been around. Porn's relatively new.
Is it? I mean, I feel like
I don't think so.
the moment they made a camera, they're like, you know what we could be doing?
God,
you know what we could, like...
Maybe I'm ignorant.
No, there's like super old porn, like silent movie porn.
Yeah.
So...
What's it called? Snuff films? Snuff films? Snuff films?
I'm not... Well, there's a snuff film that is actually pretty graphic and violent. I don't know if that we're thinking about the same thing.
Well, so part of one of the dark secrets of the industry, which we'll kind of get to throughout the podcast, is that sometimes porn does kind of suggest that it's okay to be domestically violent towards the other person. It almost kind of provokes it and encourages it. So one thing that I found interesting was that out of all of the female performers surveyed, they found that over 50% of them had experienced rape and domestic violence throughout their performing career in the industry. So the violence is very prevalent. Also, in the thumbnails, you see that even in the titles of the videos, it does suggest and portray violence.
You know, that is true. I've seen a lot of those, but there's also there's a couple of companies that are taking, I think, a great step forward as far as like putting warnings at the beginning to say, hey, this is fictional. This is not a depiction of real sexual action. Like, this is not to be expected in real life. And if there is something that is more on, say, the aggressive side, they do end the scene and then have like a post-scene interview with both or multiple actors, and then they talked about, you know, what did you like, what did you not like, you know, and they leave you knowing that it's for them in their setting in this particular scene, it's a very safe environment. I don't know if you guys have heard the whole thing about like 50 Shades of Grey being just abuse. It is just abuse. Like, you don't do that to someone unless you're abusing them. Where in real life, if you were to engage in like some of those like more aggressive or, you know, more intense BDSM kind of things, like there's a level of respect, of communication, of comfort with your partner, even during and after, especially after these acts, in which, you know, you have to kind of like reset and make sure, you know, that, hey, there is love or compassion or, you know, or empathy.
Yeah, and that is important, because I think that a lot of people do, when they are, even Terry Crews, actually, who is a celebrity, as we all know, spoke out about porn, the porn industry. He has come out and admitted that he was addicted to porn. He's video vlogged his recovery, and he himself even says that his issue with porn is that it takes away the compassion that you have for other humans, and instead you have this view that people are objects. So it's just, I think that it's good that these companies are taking that into consideration. And I also have to ask you, what platform, if you don't mind me asking, what platform do you watch the most? Like is it YouPorn or
a heck of a segue,
what is
man.
it, XNXX or whatever?
I'm very particular, so I'm glad you asked me, actually. So there's really only two that I really frequent. The first one would be porntrex.com. First, high quality, 4K, very fast streaming, nice thumbnail.
Do you have to pay for it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Who pays for porn, by the way?
You'd be surprised.
I know, a $97 billion industry, yeah. Somebody does. I don't. So I go for that one and ePorner.
Okay. I've never heard of those, so.
Those two are my favorites. You know, for me, it's not so much always a scene. It might be a particular model, and if I like her, I want to see all her stuff. Porn T-Rex does a great job of like cataloging a lot of that stuff, and ePorner it does pretty well as well. You know, they both do high quality video, great streaming rates.
So speaking of streaming, did you guys know that and we talked about this earlier, and he, brought up that clearly, obviously, because of COVID, but I believe it's 2019 when they did the study of the most trafficked websites. In the top 10, 2 were porn sites all over the world.
The top 10.
I'm surprised that it wasn't more than
Globally.
2.
I know. Globally.
I mean, I'm not surprised, but...
And not only that, their streams got more streams than Netflix, Twitter, Instagram, Zoom, LinkedIn, and Pinterest combined.
Combined? God
Yeah.
damn.
I mean, porn influences a lot. So when we choose a new media delivering platform, say, when we went from VHS to DVD, porn influenced that. Porn decided we're going to DVD and not Laserdisc. When we were all on DVDs and we said we're going to HD DVD or Blu-ray, porn is what decided which platform we're going to. And with porn choosing Blu-ray, there goes your next gen consoles. There goes your next gen.
Wow.
I mean, everything is like, a lot of people don't know how influential porn is, but porn dictates a lot.
Wow. No,
But what is that a signal of? Like, to me, I consider porn, well, okay, somewhere along the lines, there's a perversion of sexuality, and people don't understand that, because to me, all right, better way to put it. You said while in a relationship, you're not unwilling to watch porn, correct?
If my partner didn't want me to watch porn, I would cut back as absolutely much as I could. I might go from 100% to like 2%, because that's understanding. I'm doing my best. I'm going to cut back as much as I can. But
You don't
also,
think that's an issue? Like, the fact that something has that level of, I don't really need porn in a relationship. And
I don't
maybe
need
y'all
it. I like it, and that's why there should be understanding on the other side. She's like, if a girl was like, hey, I don't like you watching porn, please stop. And I'll say, I'll cut back to my absolute maximum that I can cut back, but I also need you to understand that I like this shit, and I'm gonna do what I like. I'm a grown man. I'm gonna do what I like. So as long as there should be a give and take. There should be equal understanding, and you should work with your partner. There shouldn't be like hard rules or ultimatums or anything like that. If you really care about your person, you'll be understanding and you'll work with them.
Okay. That's understandable, but I think a little naive, though, because there are some things, even you personally, where it's like, nah, that I'm not about that. And maybe I think what happens is, the funny thing about sexuality is, because it's something that you don't even know who someone is sexually until you're like really deep into a relationship. Sex is a learning. Never mind, you're right.
Unless you're choking them and spitting in their mouth. Well, you don't really know who they are, do you? But wait, real quick, before we go any further, I told you guys my platforms. What about you two?
Honestly, dude, because I'm not it's just Pornhub, and
I just knew you were gonna say. Like, I was like, that's so simple.
It is so simple, but
explored-
it's like, go ahead. You've explored what?
Other venues, but it's not. It doesn't really. I could just listen. It's the first one that pops up, so I'm like, I'm serious.
It's the most
Like, I know
well-known.
I'm on a mission, man.
I
Like,
think when we were younger, that was the one that was just kind of like, hey, you want porn, go here. So, but also, I do want to talk about, how did we start watching porn? Because this goes in with why we're talking about how it affects viewers and performers. So I want to talk about.
I would sneak into.
You want to talk about when we started to watch porn?
Yeah, like what age did you run into it intentionally, accidentally, or did someone else show it to you?
Okay, I think that's a great question. But we haven't actually switched wines yet and tasted each other, so I think we should do that first, and then we should kick right back off on that question. You want to do that?
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. I'm going to try yours first.
Okay, I want to do KG's.
So that's you.
Oh, I love how it looks.
Right off the rip, that's a no from me. That is way too sweet. Sorry.
Really?
Yeah. That is, yeah. It reminds me of a really strong. What's
White
that?
Zinfandel,
Yeah, I was thinking of the other one.
rosé.
Yeah, like a rose, like a strong bold rosé, but that is
Wow. It's too sweet for you?
yes. I like mine extremely dry.
Well, I know, but I figured I like mine dry too, and I like that. I didn't think it was that sweet. I've had way sweeter ones.
I have too, but that is no. That's
So
a
yours is giving me like a wood flavor, like
Oh yeah.
like barrel oak, like yeah, I like it. I like yours.
No, that's good.
I don't mind.
You got some flavor out of it, man. I was struggling. Meanwhile, yours only reflects on just how, man. I'm digging yours, man.
KG.
Swap it out.
Wait, you're digging what?
I'm digging yours, dude. Well, I guess it's in respect to what I got is not as flavorful, but that's pretty good, dude.
Wait, you said yours is not as flavorful as his?
No, his is more.
Oh, okay.
Wow,
His
yours?
is more.
I like his.
Yeah.
It's got a good.
It reminds me of a lot of this one where it's
This is sweet as hell.
it is a little sweeter, but isn't it though? I told you.
Kool-Aid, man.
That's super sweet. This one is also just like mine. It's mild. It has a pretty decent like bite to it as far as the dryness, but nothing really stands out. It's easy to drink. Very very drinkable, but it's.
That's yours. Yeah, yours is okay.
I'm gonna stick with this one.
Let's switch, man. Let's
What?
swap.
Oh, so what? You want mine?
The sweeter one.
You can have it. I like yours.
All right, let's switch.
Is this yours?
So, all right, picking back up. KJ, you're about to kick it off as far as.
Oh no, I had a question for you guys.
That was a question. He's about to answer it.
Oh yeah, do you remember my question?
State it again.
Okay.
I wanna make sure
so, how old were you, and how did you run into porn?
I had to have been, funny enough, 11 or 12. And my first like real experience of porn, it wasn't through friends. I didn't stumble across it. You know, I was watching DVDs in my mom's room, and
Your mom's porn?
no, she at the time she had a boyfriend though. This is funny, man. And I did stumble across his porn collection, man. And it was wild because I was still a virgin at that point, so I didn't know nothing and that was my sex. So it was ritualistic, man. Everybody's at work. I'm gonna go sneak in the stash.
Every 13-year boy ever. You know.
I'm telling you. So, but yeah, funny enough, no. One day she did. She asked me. She was like, "Hey," so I guess he had said something. She was like, "Hey, Kay, you been in the closet?" It's like, no. Like, no, what are you talking about? Oh, no.
What's in there?
First time I ever lied to my mom, man. Ever in my entire life, dude. First time I ever lied. So no, it was more, it was in home, so, but I don't even have, like, in terms of like friends and stuff like that, I never had too much exposure to pornography till I became a man, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
What about you?
First grade, my cousins had this magazine they showed me. That's mostly what it was, or I can't remember which came first, either that or my mom took us to work one day and we were all like hanging out in like the back storeroom and we ran across one, like my sister, brother, and I ran across one and we hid it and we just looked at it whenever my mom ever took us to work. It was one of those two. It's hard to remember, but it was definitely
Where
a
does she
physical
work at?
magazine. She worked at like this. It was like a local grocery store, like a little.
And they had porn in the back?
No, it was like someone had left like a magazine somewhere, and we
They were
found
in the
it.
bathroom with
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
That's funny.
So yeah, it's about. I was really young, so like first to third grade ish, and it was a magazine, like a physical mag. I don't even know if they still make magazines anymore.
I think they do.
I would imagine so.
I'm sure there's all types of stuff still, you know.
Well, what about you? Yeah.
So this is actually funny. This is so innocent. My friend and I stumbled upon it. We were at my house, and in the house I grew up in, we had a computer room, so it was like at the front of the house. And I remember we snuck in there, and late at night we weren't supposed to be online, and we were on the computer. And like normally we did the YouTube, MySpace back in the day, like. You know, we emailed each other, and then one day we were like, searching the web, and we're like, what happens if we do like our name but .com? So we were doing like Gabby.com, Jennifer.com,
Heather.
and the one that I remember the most was Nikki.com. And it came up all these naked girls, like the moaning, like everything. Like the speaker was up a little bit so you could hear the girls moaning, and we screamed and ran out of the room. And I was like, we have to go close that out. Like it's still up. Like we left it up for my parents were asleep. But it was like we left it up on the screen for 10 minutes, but we were in my room because we were like, I was like, I don't even want to go in there. Like it scared me. But yeah, that's how I ran into porn. And I think I was like 9 or 10, but I was like actually in that phase of like school where you have sex ed.
Yeah.
So I was learning about it and just stumbled upon it. So it was inevitable.
Yeah.
But
real quick, I want to talk about, for us, for me, it was a physical paper magazine, for you, DVDs. And for you, I think you're younger than both of us, right?
Mm-hmm. Mine was online.
Online. Kids nowadays, and I talked to a friend of mine recently about this. He has two or three kids that are teenagers, and they all have smartphones. And now it's literally a finger click away, and you have all of it in HD, streaming, every kind of category, everything you can imagine. How do you guys think that that's going to affect the next generation that is born and raised in a society like that? Along
You
with like
should go
OnlyFans.
first.
Well, I look at it like,
especially as a father. What's up?
well, okay. For starters, one will have to acknowledge, to me personally, how do you even feel porn truly affects society as a whole, considering where it's come from and where it is now, like today. Before we look into the future, I look at it like, I think on some level, like, okay, I think there are a lot of negative consequences that there aren't. And it's not necessarily even the performers. I don't believe porn is truly a good thing. Like I said, it is a perversion of sexuality, but it just so happens that we live in a society now that is a little bit more tolerant, just like violence. I remember a time, not to digress, but I remember a time where certain things, whether sexual or in regards to violence, just wouldn't be on TV, wouldn't be in films, wouldn't be in cinema. And it's like, that's part of our evolution. So, I mean, it's only going to get more extreme. That's how I look at it. You know what I mean? It's not something to... Now, in terms of like on a more personal level, like what I really think it does is, at the end of the day, I guess, going back where we were talking about earlier, the reason I'm not so big on like porn while I'm in a relationship, because I believe that intimacy plays a profound role in sexuality.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't agree with that, but in my experience, it's very real. It's like, it's still
that's how I feel.
It's still a physical thing at the end of the day, So how far can you push that? But at the end of the day, love is still the basis of why you're with somebody. So to just have sex with that one person, I think, that's when you get to that point. That's completely okay, man. So that's what
I think it might be a maturity thing, or I think it's just as you get older. When I was in my 20s, one night stands all the time. I had more one night stands than actual
this dude just
like normal sexual partners. And as I get older, like I really can't fathom having a one night stand. That feels weird,
They're pointless.
It's not fruitful. It's it's pointless.
Not fulfilling at all.
But you have to have a few in order to get to that.
Of course, I think this experience is necessary.
Yeah.
But like you said earlier, how it, you think that it affects not so much the performers, but it affects the consumers. And you asked where we were going, with this new technology where it's so accessible. And I'll give you guys my opinion. I don't think that we're going anywhere good with it. In my personal opinion, I see porn as an epidemic. One reason being is that I forget the exact statistic, but during a study, it showed that people who started watching porn at one point in their lives actually got to a point to where they started watching something so different that and it was so so complex that it was actually a form of porn that they had viewed as disgusting during their early porn days.
Yeah.
So probably something that was like suggesting incest or something like that, but now they think is like the hot thing to do. So you see this pattern with people, especially young people who they start porn at an early age, accidentally or intentionally, like we said, like we stated, with our own experiences. But you have to think that this is a worldwide, global industry. So kids are starting to get their hands on porn easily. Even like a bunch of accounts. I think there's like 10 million plus accounts on Twitter alone that are like porn accounts. So, you're having this porn so readily accessible. I think that you're breeding children or young adults, adolescents who are getting their hands on this type of porn or just any type of porn, and they are introducing themselves to this life that's unrealistic, that they're just going to yearn for. And studies also show that sex addiction is actually equivalent to drug addiction. So,
I can see that, yeah.
So anything that, so looking at porn is equivalent to like an alcoholic looking at a alcohol advertisement on the TV, and it triggers that reward part of your brain. So porn as seen as reward.
Reward. Yeah, we know what it's called. Yeah.
Reward.
Called the money shot. Okay.
You know what's funny about that? Oh, and we're gonna have an OnlyFans episode at some point. Just letting the viewers know, because that's what I'm thinking about too. Because it does come in different forms. And what's funny about that, I think the only reason porn isn't demonized to the extent that it honestly should be, and I'm saying that as a man who actually watches it, and I'm trying to grow, and not even saying that it's completely, I just understand things. At the end of the day, it is because it's essentially still, to some extent, a man's world. Because it's for the most part, women are the ones that really they're the glue to like, sexuality of a woman is garnered way more higher than a man. It's like, I know men still, can be viewed as sexually, desirable, but it's different, and a lot of people won't own this, but a woman's body on a sexual level is it's a rare gem. It's it's a commodity. It's something special, man.
I think that might be here in the U.S., but I mean, not to cut you off. Continue.
No.
I definitely feel like that might be the case here in the U.S. Like, I see a lot of advertisements for different products that feature very attractive women. And my first time in South Korea, we weren't even there, but just a few hours on a layover, and I noticed just how many advertisements they had that featured male models. And I thought, that's strange. In the U.S., that would totally be a woman. So it might be different in other places.
What I would theorize though? What's funny about that? I think what probably makes that such. I think when you lose, for whatever it is that America has this, it is the way it is. It's almost like a void of culture to a certain extent. Like, there's an American culture, but it's not grounded in anything. Like, if you go in other parts of the world, they don't have the same reluctancy to moderate females, and that's a cultural thing. It's like strong cultures that stand the test of time. They understand the nature of women and accept it far more than anything, like not just America, but like Rome, all those civilizations that just get to the point where they're like, what is it? The tenet of Thelema, do as thou will. It's like live in the world. Yeah. It's just complete liberal energy, basically. That's an American thing, man. A lot of other cultures, first of all, America doesn't. Honestly, you know what? Not to digress, but it's America we're talking about. And I'm sorry, you're right. I should have actually specified. It's just America, bro. It's like the female body is still a beautiful thing, and I'm sorry, man. At the end of the day, it's I put it up here, man. Most people do. The thing about here being
a beautiful thing
It is. The thing about being in America is that it's a little bit easier to just contradict that or be hypocritical about that. I'm sorry, and that's what I acknowledge. It's like, no sir, man. Like all great in history, all great men have went to war for females, man.
Yeah.
It would never be the opposite, bro. It's like it would never be the opposite, man. Women are a commodity, so you shouldn't. So to tie it all back together, when I think about pornography, that does something. I actually look at it more from. I would expect dudes to be 100% on board with porn, but to me, I look at it. I actually exactly because I have a daughter, and I'm like, I would never. I tell people this all the time. OnlyFans is out of the question with my daughter. Like I choke her out, man. It's not happening. It's like, and I understand why. It's like, yes, I don't. She's her own person, but it's just wisdom, man. At the end of the day, a woman's sexuality is something to actually be respected, and that's why I have a hard time with porn. Like I do this shit, and I get it off, and I'm like, you know what, man?
There are some women that are very empowered by their role in the adult film industry.
I think so, but I think that there's also
It's probably fewer than.
it is fewer.
Yeah.
It is fewer. But speaking of choking your daughter for OnlyFans, that does give our viewers a little bit of a hint to what we're discussing next week, which is disciplining our children. Speaking of children, though, I do want to point out, like I was saying earlier, that the harming of consuming porn, like I said, where people start at normal porn, then they go to like the BDSM, and then it gets more and more
Severe
extreme. People are leading themselves into child porn. They get to a point to where, you go from normal to BDSM to like incest, even into child porn.
Can I say something, Jen? You're very cautionary about these things for a reason. The funny thing is, historically, none of this has never not been explored. But we feel a certain type of way about it. When things get so out of whack to where like, it starts with porn. And I don't mean it starts with people not having a moral foundation at the end of the day. You have to at least respect sexuality. And porn, to me, that's the very, it's indicative of just a lack of respect for that. To be honest, it's for money, it's for power, all these things. But it's like you feel a certain type of way about it. It's like because if it doesn't stop at porn, then it's almost like, well, we can make children out of this. They're literally, it's like teen porn, and it's gonna. I promise you,
Teen
man. I've not even
porn's
seen
has been number
that's
one.
one of the top rated
for like the past 10 plus years.
and
teen porn.
And to me, what that tells me is that people have this innate thing where they actually desire to do it's very
evil things.
Yes.
But that's what I'm pointing out is that you're getting to a point to where you're having normal sex, and maybe to the viewer normal sex is like missionary position, but I guess for us
for me it is, yeah.
Normal is oral, normal is different positions and stuff like that. But to these viewers, like I'm talking, and we're saying the most extreme porn addiction viewers.
Oh, I was talking about most extreme porn for a second.
But they like the most extreme porn. Yeah. They're going from normal to, like, they might be looking into like groups, and then they'll look into the BDSM, which is bestiality is another one.
Like octopus and
yeah, you've seen that.
I've been told. I've never seen it. Hey, y'all seen that shit?
No, is it? First of all, it's interesting, but that's that doorway to fucking, and it's like I don't.
It is a doorway. Everything porn is a gateway to a lot of evil things.
I think
domestic violence,
I feel like
child
it can
porn.
be, but there's probably a lot more people that watch porn that don't or won't go into that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, I believe I'm also like I'm very optimistic about people in general. Maybe I could be absolutely wrong. I probably am wrong because the front page of most porn sites is like stepmom, stepbrother, and I don't get why that is. Why?
And sometimes it's not even actors. Sometimes it's actual literal incest.
I mean, there's a couple of twins out there that are actually like.
No, that's kind of normal. I've known twins personally in my life that have been freaky with one another, but just for attention and play.
Yeah.
Not that they are literally like I'm in love with you type thing. Like
Yeah,
it's
okay, that's what you're saying.
you see, yeah. So they do it for attention. They do it to be fun, to be talked about. It's an attention thing. But that's more common with girls, with girl twins. I see it on the
And
internet
you know
all the
why?
time.
In America today, I promise you, maybe like in, I don't know, Rome in its prime, men would have the same, but it's that same energy of just like men used to sleep with men for the sake of like when you make sex about just the act, it's like that's when it gets dangerous, man. It's like you lose all like sex is a wonderful, it's a beautiful thing. I love vagina, man. But at the end of the day, it has to.
Said that. I love how he says that. Just I love vagina.
Nah, I do. It's a beautiful thing, but it has to come with some type of responsibility, man. And that's the only thing I see. Porn is very irresponsible to the quote unquote human soul. And I guess we're speaking. Yeah.
So continue what you're saying, but let's hear your whole let's wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'll say, in regards to porn. I actually told my buddy I was gonna do this, so I'm gonna commit to it. I'm gonna be abstinent from porn for a full year. You have my word right now. No, but there's no way nobody's gonna ever actually know that. But I've been struggling with this lately, and it's like, and my last thing, in my second point, I will. I'm committed to that. My second point, it does make me a little nervous because the more normalized that we make porn, I feel like there's certain. To me, life is all about bonds. So when you can get sex so accessibly, or the feeling of like an orgasm so accessibly, it strips away from something that you would have to earn in dealing with another person. As a whole, that's how I look at it. Because honestly, the only reason I really started watching it more is in absence of somebody just kind of being there. It's like, that's a learning process. It's like, how can you and I spark this up without the need for, outside. So it's like, that's how I look at it. So it's like, it's not that porn is a negative thing, but I definitely pay attention to the negative consequence from it, man. Because, hell, trust me, if it was all positive, it wouldn't be so many people calling it an addiction. That is a real thing. Mm-hmm. A real thing. Yeah. People go to therapy for that shit, all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well,
you go. I'll close this up.
I really haven't thought too deeply about porn. I've always felt like, it's very individual based. Some people can handle it just like any drug or any vice. There are people that'll be able to handle it just fine. It's normal. It's whatever. There are some that will have an addiction to it that just cannot handle what it is, or may not be able to see it in the actual light that it is. I'm not saying that even I do, but I think that we should make it more. It should be a topic that we all talk about more. It should be brought to the public, to the forefront. That way, if there are changes that need to be made, we can make those changes. If there are things that we need to regulate more or be more careful of, we can do that if we talk about it, instead of porn being, what'd you say, a $97 billion industry, all on the hush-hush. Come on. We should talk about this more. We should be more open and more transparent about the fact that porn even exists. I don't know if you guys heard that joke where if you ask 100 men if they watch porn, 95 will say yes. And then 5 will lie. You know what I mean? We all, for the most part, we all watch it. We all enjoy it. It's something that we should talk about to help steer people away from the dangers that it could have.
I agree. I do think that it's not talked about very often. I think that we should recognize the dangers of it for the consumers and the performers, and we should actually put more regulation on it, because there was a law called the 2257 law, which made sure that all companies correctly identified each and every performer. But that law was recently, in 2018, dismissed because of a lobby from porn companies. So now we're seeing less and less regulations for porn. So that to me is an epidemic, because I see that people are addicted to it. I see that, like you said, so many of us watch it. We don't talk about it. And there's a lot of danger to it. there are studies that show that when you start watching at a young age, it messes with your brain development. And like I said earlier, it can lead to things that are very dangerous and sick for an individual to do and how they are as a person. So I think that all of us should work together in trying to fix this, and we should. The first step of any addiction is to admitting that you have a problem. So if any of the viewers have a problem with addiction, you should come to terms with it and admit that you have an addiction. If you know anybody who is very into porn, may be addicted to it, we should confront and try to resolve the issue together, because we are talking about domestic violence and child pornography being rape being some of the most extreme outcomes of porn. So with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in to Wine at 9. This episode was kind of a touchy one, but nevertheless, thank you guys for tuning in. Catch us next week. Make sure you subscribe and comment what you would like for us to cheers to. And we're going to close it out.
I have a closing cheer.
on a roll.
Let's,
Y'all heard it here, a full year.
Let's cheers to Rule 43.
Huh?
Rule 43 of the internet. Anything that can or shall be interpreted as sexual or sexualized is just simply because it's the internet.
Rule 43.
That, and let's cheers to KG going a whole year without porn.
No porn.
Good
I'm
luck.
stoked on that one.
Good luck. Good luck. Wait, it might be 34. It might be Rule 34. I always get those numbers mixed up.
I thought you said 34.
I thought it said 43.
He said 43.
Oh, okay.